All right, welcome to it might be the first installment, maybe it's just a one-off thing. I'm not quite sure. I just wanted to sort of talk about this really stupid occurrence with Twitter and the people that occupy there. I think it's probably the most toxic website out of any of these. Because what you have are a series of people who are fully aware of the fact that they would never say these things in a non-written format, and they're able to get away with stuff because they do it in this manner. So let me go over here and show you the window. All right, so you're looking at the KickVic hashtag, which, if any of you remember, is the one where you had people who don't like the voice actor basically saying, "Hey, we're just going to screw." Let me say, Lamarck, I didn't see you there. Now you can already kind of. So let me go back down here. What I love about the arguments that these people make is that they'll go and instead of actually saying anything, they'll keep posting these stupid pictures. Look at this. He's got the Sesame Street right here. It's the same person who can't defend their own little goofy argument that's going on. And eventually, after the other person gets fed up, they have this thing right here. So that's lovely. And like I said before, one of the things they like to do is use these little anecdotal stories in place of evidence. And I'm sorry, I'm from the era of prior to Twitter, where when we wanted to present something as proof of somebody being guilty or a criminal, we'd actually take it to court, or maybe find some other way of discussing it outside of going on social media. So, by the way, and since you are saying you wouldn't suggest I'm a liar, I personally saw Vic grope women, was groped myself, and have seen him ruin the panels of other VAs, nearly get a con shut down, and lied his way into getting con staff to pay his way home for a date. So again, we're supposed to take what this person says because they say it as the proof and truth and reality and whatnot. And there's no kind of just that's it. That this is the proof. And if you don't agree with it, you're not thinking critically and all the other nonsense they might have to say.
Believe my Twitter comment, guys, because I'm telling the truth. Yeah.
Holy hell. All right. This person says the age when he's grown out of the window, have an inferno. I'm actually love to see and hear what these are talking about. Okay, that's a regular person. 48 hours remain. And what's really, I just realized that a lot of the people who are using that hashtag now, like legitimately are making fun of it. Like it's not actually people who support it anymore. Evidence should be presented in a court if law, either eyewitnesses or video footage is proof of such an act. Well, that's what I'm saying. But also, let's remember, if someone has, especially if it's a sexual crime like is being alleged against them, you don't need to just have video. If you report it and you're, the victim, you can get DNA swabs. You can, if the police interrogate this person, get them to confess. So when none of this is done, I'm so, and I'm not, this isn't directed toward you, Mark, but I'm just so tired of people pretending like the only way to ever get anyone to admit to anything is to, go and like catch them in the act on video. No, you just stop waiting 5, 10, 15 years to say anything, and then maybe people will believe you. So, I swear. And Me Too has just completely made all these accusations. Like anything anybody says now is almost like a sick joke. Like we can't even take it seriously at this point because everybody's getting accused of something and then no one's presenting any proof. So all we're doing is just going, yeah, yeah, sure, I believe that. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's us every time. I'm actually a little surprised. We really aren't getting that many people in that group anymore. This is crazy. But let's go over to the And I told you they like to go on here and leave all kind of weird stuff too. Okay, for 2 years, the president has used the most powerful platform in the world to sow hate and division. It's a little envoy. We're looking at some of the stuff people write on Twitter and just how ridiculous it is. So Harris says for 2 years, presidents use powerful platform in the world. I really thought she was talking about Twitter at first. Like, Twitter is now the most powerful platform in the world. He's done it again, putting the safety of a sitting member of Congress at risk and vilifying a whole religion is beyond the pale. I'll be blunt, we must defeat him. Like, who is she rallying the support of? I don't understand, but I do like this response, baloney. Oh man, I don't even. I know that's a Trump supporter, but I just love that comment. It's like he, he's so stumped for words. He's like, yeah, just get out of here. Mark says waiting 15 years after an incident to report is dumb, and there's always uh, an agenda behind this. Things are becoming ridiculous. Yeah, I can't take any of these claims seriously anymore. Stop inciting violence. Okay, do you see like what I'm talking about? So this is why we call it the SOAR. Look, this comment is her grandstanding. It's her trying to, do like the I'm morally superior to thou thing. But there's no mention here of Trump needs to get beat up or someone needs to put their hands on nothing. And they're saying that this person's response is to tell her to stop inciting violence. Perfect. So I'm saying, the spin factor, they take whatever you say and then like flip it into being something that it's not even, relating to at all, which is lovely. Thank you for standing by, Ilhan. Now boycott AIPAC. I love this comment. It's true. This person says fake news. And this is a really good example I'm talking about, that there used to be a period where Twitter was basically occupied by people who one could consider like most were decent or smart or whatever, and then a little bit of them were kind of weird and would write random strange things. Now it's literally a couple will write stuff that makes sense, and then a bunch of them will just write weird stuff. Like it's flipped, backwards, basically upside down. And look at this. In response to a comment that again is grandstanding, it's I'm holier than thou. Your response is fake news. It's like, no, that there's a video that Trump posted of this congresswoman. And it's like, dude, what are you talking about? But this is what I'm saying, that the people write stuff that's weird on purpose. Mark says they twist what you say to get a negative reaction from you knowing what you're saying makes sense. Yeah, and again, this is why I call it, the stream is titled Back to the SOAR. It's literally almost, I basically, if we could put all these social media websites and like make them parts of a body, I would say Twitter is either the genitals or the behind of the entire spectrum of social media, because this is the only website I've ever seen where anyone can write anything to anybody under any circumstance, and if they don't, they're still writing stuff that like doesn't even make sense. Like I told you guys, there was a person who I made a stream about last week. This woman, she wrote, "Oh, if you don't have," I'm not going to put her thing up because I don't want to give her publicity. You can, we don't need to have her say, "Oh my God, they made a whole stream about me." But she stated something to the effect of, "If you're a man and you don't read female authors, most likely you're going to be sexist," or "She has never seen a man who doesn't read female authors also be horrible," or whatnot. And it was this really weird, generalizing, strange comment, not because there's no such good thing as good female authors, but because most people at this point apparently don't even read books anymore. So it's this really strange kind of standard that doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of who people are. But again, this person is able to amass hundreds of followers and get a bunch, somebody to like that comment. And let's go read this grandstanding one right here. Okay, so in response to this person says, finally a president with big balls. I'm not sure how posting a little uh, a speech of a representative and then overlaying clips of 9/11 on it is big balls, but okay. Again, the spin factor, they say stuff that just, it's like, what? Will you please stop yelling when you have a rally? It is annoying. You have a mic. This was discussed in our weekly get together. We agree it is better if you talk with an education point of view in plain English so people understand and talk about the things that Trump is doing. It's like, what does this comment have to do with anything at all? Will you please stop yelling? It's like, hell, dude, why don't you just ask for the transcript of all her speeches? Just, you don't have to hear her voice ever again. How about that instead? Mr. Old Elliott. Give him a big warm greeting. I was missing you this week. I said, oh man, where did he go? Where's Elliot? You and your idiot crew are the cause of hate. See, I do really find comments like these funny because they don't specifically state what they're talking about. So the idiot crew could be the whole Democratic Party. It could be Democrats in California. It could be the Democratic members of the Senate. There's a lot of meanings to what the idiot crew is, but just, like the fact that this person's name is literally one letter away from being anger is even more amusing. And there we go with those little stupid videos again and GIFs. I don't know what the point of those is. I in California agree with you 100%. When people write stuff like this, it's because they have to, like, and I almost feel sorry for them. Basically, if internet logic is anyone who lives in California or anyone who lives in Texas is a Democrat or Republican, and anyone who doesn't think that way is like seen as a pariah over there. So they have to, before saying I agree with you, state where they're from so that they can like make it carry more weight or mean more in the grand scheme of things. It's really sad because it goes back to like how we just lump everybody in a box together in our wonderful way of being people. This person says, I'll be blunt, you must impeach him. I mean, it's not going to change anything. You're still going to get stuck with Pence. Like I said, you try to explain this stuff to people who don't know the way that the Constitution works or like have Trump derangement syndrome, and they really think just get him out of there and it's all going to magically get better and it's going to be a nice little sunshine and rainbow. Lady CNN done dumped you for a dude by Felicia. I don't like, again, this comment's not funny because they said something that was amusing and like, oh, it's so witty, and no, it's because like it's so confusing and so nonsensical that it's amusing. CNN dumped you for a dude. What dude are you talking about? When was she ever employed at CNN? But again, this is why it's amusing, that it's something that doesn't make any sense that the person is saying, and it's funny because it doesn't make any sense. Not because they wrote something that actually is clever and has us going, wow, that's a great point. And you said something that, we agree with and that totally has logic and is well founded. Load says the average person is barely even sentient. Yeah, well, that's kind of a problem that, we remember, for as crazy as this stuff seems, we might be laughing at it, and this is the nightmare fuel. These people all count as one individual vote, just like you and I. So, it should show you what the voter base in the U.S. is. Agree. So do something. Now, this is waiting to see if he gets reelected. BS is not good enough. I'm not quite sure what this person means. Like, I don't remember Harris ever saying, let's wait to see if he gets a second term. Oh, yeah, Lo, I'm just using them for comedic effect. Just wait. Once he loses, it will take another year to get him out of the White House. Here we go again, the stupid pictures. God, it's like what, and it's always the same ones. Like I've seen the same SpongeBob one like 30 times. It always gets shared. It's like, oh, you're so dumb. It's like, no, you're so dumb you can't even enunciate what you're saying. And that's coming from a person who thinks if Harris gets the nomination, which she won't, that Trump would beat her handedly. So it's not, this is just me saying, can you just say something? Holy hell. Okay, so using human beings inclusive is reprehensible. Oh, more of that immigration stuff, I'm good. Avoid like the plague. Told you, man, once you start talking about the Gang of Eight and Amnesty, it's no, thank you. Goodbye. We will defeat him 2020. Get that KKK out of the White House. Somewhat amusing, but it's not, like we've already been over how they all, I mean, the same people who are telling you he's going to lose are the same ones who get mad at you when you say I'm not going to vote for the Democrat because it's someone I don't like. So, they don't even actually believe what they're preaching on here. Be blunt more often. That person says down there. Let's go look at some of the ones directed toward Booker. That's some long conversation there. You don't have the right team in place, then. Oh, let's read this together. We will run at the tough challenges. Together we will do the things that other people say are impossible. Together we will fulfill our pledge to be a nation of liberty and justice for all. Together we will win. Together we will rise. Hashtag Corey 2020. Like, and then after he puts up this, what is supposed to be an inspirational message. You don't have the right team in place, man. Sen. Oh hell. But let's forget that he's polling at like 3% or whatever. This is why he's losing. Exactly, Mark. A cliche statement that specifies nothing of where he stands on any issues. He should have said, if he wanted to be smart, together we will try to implement single-payer healthcare. Together we will try to end these 7 wars that the U.S. has found itself in, thanks to my predecessors, in office if I'm elected president. Together we will raise wages for the first time in 40 years. Like, just there's so much stuff he could bring up to where this, and again, not a person who is a fan of Booker, but he could bring up any of these things and he would have a much easier, or at least a much more respectable, campaign slogan, statement, whatever that thing was. I feel like he sings that in the shower. Like he looks at those 3% polls like, I'm going to win, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. I'm returning to the, okay, congrats. Thank you. Oh, they're over there being happy that they're working for a guy who's going to probably drop out before Iowa. We can't have social justice or economic justice if we don't have environmental justice. Or easier to be murdered at whim, but you support it. Oh, okay, that's in response to the actual the post here. It shouldn't be easier for a child in America to find unleashed gas than unleaded gas and unleaded water. Does he support? I'm kind of fighting myself to like that comment or not, because I don't know for sure like what that person's intent is in saying that. So I'll leave it there. I mean, he does support, bombing babies in the Middle East. We know that. You can't wait until you are not elected. That's funny. LOL, the blue and red oak hashtag clueless Corey. Pray that people quit. in this. What does that even mean? Are they like pulling their? Look at this comment. Look at this comment. Pray that people quit in the streets. So are they defecating in the streets? Like, do they just pull their pants and go? Bleh. Heard this was let's they're over there saying something dumb about Obama. There's a lot of stuff to critique him over, but you know that whatever that person was saying sounded kind of weird. Okay, hashtag Corey. So I'm fired up, and then lots of words with no real meaning. The intent being to sound intelligent. That's exactly what Mark said. Cliche statements. Like, what is the point of this? Nothing about the economy. You can't win on social issues. Give us something real. Okay, so he says we won't. Like I said, this is the only website in the world where people are so dumb that I'm forced to defend politicians I don't even like. We won't wait for criminal justice reform for legalization of marijuana at federal level. For more thoughts and prayers for the communities that have been shattered by gun violence, we won't wait. And this person's response is nothing about the economy. You can't win on socialism. Give us something. So again, this is not a. This is we talked about why Booker is terrible, but here he is talking about the specifics of what he wants or what he likes or what he supports. You know, the criminal justice reform is kind of see. Anytime somebody says the word reform, we don't actually know what the hell they're talking about because that's a subjective term. But my point is, in this particular tweet, there's at least a couple of things that he's specifically stating, right, of like what he wants to do, and for whatever reason, they just won't. You know, it's like you get crapped on for like doing the right thing, basically, of saying as a politician, these are the things I'm in favor of. So all this stuff about the economy, it's like, dude, if the economy was so good and so great and so wonderful and so terrific for everybody, why the hell do almost 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? Like, you know, go away with that. It's just stupid. But like I said, you tell them that, they tell you that the polls you're looking at are fake news, and you're just doing that to smear Orange Daddy. So just close your mouth and be quiet. Perhaps you could start with your president. That glass house about to get knocked down. I don't really know what the glass house is. Mark says all talk and no logical steps to take action to actually benefit society in a positive way. Yeah, it's all based around like, you know, how can you piss people off, and what ways can you specifically make things worse for the biggest number of individuals? Like, they don't get this is literally a pyramid scheme of we're going to make you think that the two sides are different, and then they're saying literally the same thing. Like, I guarantee you, if Booker or Harris or whoever the hell, whatever Democrat was president, and some Trump supporter came over there and started talking about all these homeless people, whoever the Democrat is that supports them go, oh well, bad life decisions, and that poll you're looking at isn't even real. I love how they shift between the poll's not real. So like, you know, like whatever source I'm looking at has a fetish for making Trump look bad, and that or all the people made bad decisions. Again, anything to obfuscate from reality. Oh, here's something else that's really stupid. Let's look. More immigration stuff. Okay, caravan-sized influx of migrants arriving every week in what is this? In Rio Grande Valley. And in response, this person says, cut off welfare to non-citizens and your problem is solved. Again, what the heck? But look at their thing. Got the sign of stupidity. You know, they're warning us, hey, I'm not an intelligent person. It's right in the profile, so it makes sense. This person says, speech was inspiring, but I selfishly want him to remain as my senator. I think he'd be an amazing president. Every time they say they think somebody would be great, and I think I told you that I watched the the Bill Press show sometimes. This is a guy who's like known as a progressive commentator, someone that endorsed Bernie last time around. And it's like you listen to him and he starts talking about, oh yeah, Biden would be a great president. But they never, when every time they do that fawning praise of any of these Democrats, they never specify what exactly they think that person is going to do. What specifically is this candidate going to say to make me go, wow, yeah, oh, this is great, yeah, this is terrific. They don't do it. But then they wonder why me and the rest of the voters, or at least a good chunk of us, are like, yeah, this person's stupid. Why are we supporting them? Why do you support them? Why does anyone back them? I mean, holy hell, it's just clowns are all about. This person says, Corey's about to share his vision of how okay, so his thinks is about to share his vision of how we can unite to build a more fair, just society. Tune in now. Wow, you went to 2.1% in the polls. LOL. Oh man, he's getting clowned. I love it. They're like, yeah, man, this can't be so. It's like if your vision was so great, why is nobody supporting you? Okay, the only way to overcome tough challenges is by extending grace. What the hell? I'm sorry, I put the thing away from me. The only way to overcome tough challenges is by extending grace, finding common ground, and working together. Hashtag Corey 2020. So again, more empty platitudes, but here's a perfect response. Will not be voting for you. Oh God, I didn't even know he tweeted recently. I don't know if I follow. I think I do. Maybe one of his accounts I do. Person says, wait for the debates, then we'll see who emerges as front runners. Too soon to tell. It's like, no, it's not too soon to tell because let me tell you something. Because I actually remember like vividly the last election cycle and the one before that, where there was no actual primary, it was just Obama got, renominated by the Democrats. I remember polls that were pretty darn accurate as far as like, for example, you knew when you saw the Bernie Hillary ones, it was going to be one or the other. Uh, so this like idea that, oh, because it's March of the year or April of the year before the election, we can't tell that's nonsense. But it's done by people who support these candidates who, let's just come out and say it, have a very slim, if not next to no chance of actually winning. So they get really like they have to convince themselves, oh yeah, if this person is just in the race long enough, things will change and things will get better. Like it's all based on like that. It's not. It's based entirely around the idea, and I think you guys probably remember this me saying this one time of people having to tell themselves something to feel better about like a situation or circumstance where basically what you have to say or what that person's saying is directed toward you because it's really them speaking to themselves and they're using you as an outlet to relay their own position to themselves. So that's why you have people who are sitting here telling you, oh yeah, this person that's polling at 1% month after month, yeah, just wait until those debates and everything's going to turn out great and this person is going to rise. And like it's not even a coincidence that literally every single person they've done the @hashtag thing with is someone that I would, except for Warren, I would never even consider voting for, like out of that whole group. They've all been dismissed by me. And these are the same people who will tell progressive individuals like myself, hey, who cares what you think? But then when their candidate loses, oh my God, it's all your fault that you didn't vote for, this Democrat in the blue state that you're in, that they were going to win anyway. Oh my God. So, is there any real reason for me to continue talking about this stuff? Like, as far as just showing things on Twitter, I feel like we've shown a good enough amount of stuff, just content that proves these people are not bright and that they'll try to argue back and forth with you for whatever the hell reason. And then they'll say one thing, but then practice the other. Okay, Envoy says it's really empty platitudes, like you say. effectively, I mean, I showed you Booker's things, right? I showed you the one where he starts talking about reforming the criminal justice system, which again is not a specific. It's I'd like for this to be better, but better how so? Are you going to end the drug war? Are you going to address the horrible wages they pay prisoners while they're serving time? Like I don't understand what exactly will be done to make things better. Um, so it's more, nonsense. Yeah, Mark says that doesn't matter who you vote for, people will get pissed off with the elect individual's decision on ultimately get bored. The cycle repeats in the next election, wanting change and all that nonsense. Yeah, they keep hoping that things get better and voting for whatever the two-party system gives them. And then when it doesn't happen, they get shocked and go, the person I voted for that I knew nothing, next to nothing about prior to them running for president isn't doing what I thought they were going to do. Who the thunk? Let's see. Envoy says, true, it's just a vicious cycle, like you said. This is kind of why I washed my hands with all of this. I just listened to keep informed. Well, I'm not saying any of this stuff, you should just jump back into, because I do agree that it's basically just a toxic cycle of, let's smear these people, let's talk crap about these people, let's get in here and do nothing except cause more misery and suffering. So I completely agree with being sick of it to that extent. I'm just saying that I think too often when I try to go and say, hey, this is what happened on this website, people don't respond with that well because they don't actually see it. So with me showing the messages and, we're kind of putting a face to the stupidity, it's supposed to make you go, wow, they really are as dumb as he's been saying they are. They really do write stuff like, cut welfare for illegal immigrants and the world will be resolved, or some kind of nativist nonsense. Do you think the main issue with the citizens is that over reliance on the government? I kind of feel like this is why people are disappointed. They expect the government to be Lord and Savior. Okay, but here's the thing: it goes beyond that. It's like, dude, even if we don't have the government, we're still bombing all these different countries, and the only reason Americans don't care about it or about these various massacres that are happening to other people is because it's not afflicting them, since it's not being done to Americans, and also it's not being reported by the news. I've shown pictures of stuff that's happening in, let's say, Yemen, for example, to other people, and they lose their minds. They get pissed. They go, oh my God, this is crazy. Some of them do that, and then other ones go, wow, that sucks, and then just go right back to voting for the Democrat because the Republican is evil. So it's a little bit of thinking that, daddy government will help you, and a little bit of also just not vetting these politicians and kind of, sort of being bamboozled and fooled by people who have never actually shown themselves to respect or appreciate the positions they now call themselves in favor of. So it's like if I ran for something and I said, oh yeah, when I get in there, we're going to increase the minimum wage. And if, let's say, I didn't have a channel, so there's no record of me ever being in favor of this before, that already should say to you, keep an eye on this person because they might be a shapeshifter. Mark says Democrats and Republicans want the same, two sides to a coin. They're going to say two sides of the same coin, but yeah, they're really identical. They both give platitudes. They both demonize the other side. And then their supporters say stupid stuff to the people on the other team. So it's like, what I love about being, or at least attempting to be objective about stuff, is being able to look at your own team and just sort of say, you guys aren't so different after all. When I did that stream yesterday about Ro Khanna and how, here's this guy who is progressive, who is liked by all the Bernie supporters. He says one thing that's not entirely the way they want it, and now he's getting demeaned and talked about all negatively, and said that, he's so horrible, and having his, progressive card thrown in the trash. It's just all this stuff based around saying one thing they didn't like. But it's what I'm talking about, that herd mentality, where you saw with the Republicans, the ones that voted against Trump one time will suddenly be called rhinos and demeaned and told they're not actual Republic. What the hell does that even mean then? Just blindly vote and do whatever you guys say I should do. Just, that's what I'm talking about. It's all based on whoever can lick us off the most we'll love, and then whoever doesn't we hate. And not because what they're doing is so evil and terrible, because again, it's one member of Congress or one president, whoever the hell. But because we in our minds think everything must be the way we want. If it's not, it's awful. See, Envoy says, true, man. I always try and explain this to people. They're two dogs barking at each other and getting mad that they're both barking. Yeah, but this is why the cycle never ends, because just like, for example, if I wanted to get something that, you know, I thought would actually help people and make sure that no one could ever repeal it, I'd make an amendment. But the only way you could do that is if you get your party, whether it's the Democrats or Republicans, to get more seats in Congress. And listen where I'm going with this, because remember, the whole thing is Obamacare, we got to repeal and replace. With this, we have to get rid of it. If it's an amendment to the Constitution, which could be granted by a certain number of members of the House and Senate, they can't mess with it anymore. But they don't. The Democrats are stupid because they like this kind of cycle, this disarray. So I mentioned that in particular to say that this whole like back and forth thing, it's not going to end because no one's trying to make it end. If I wanted to make the back and forth end, I would literally get every single, or at least attempt to, every single policy proposal that I think is serious and that should stay in place. Like maybe having it to where if a president authorizes a war without congressional approval, he's automatically resigned himself from office. All that stuff is meant to stop this stuff from going on and create a lasting end to these issues. So, you guys have anything else to say? We can get out of here, because I have, like I said, Saturday is like literally the worst day of the week for me, and it went and streaming and whatnot. I did want to say to Envoy, I found that I can do the streams again for the games. My stuff was like cut off, and you know, weird things were going on and about. So we can get back to that. You know, I know you were really excited for that, and you were so happy to see it and whatnot. And I was saying, Mark, usually on Saturday, it's just a bunch of stuff that's going on. Like people, because they're not working, want to go and say, hey, let's go here. It's like, yeah, but I have to do this. I'm trying to do my regular thing of, you know, trying to stream at some point during the day and whatnot. Yes, that's great. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can do those again. I'll see if I can do if I can play one of those two games at some point tomorrow. And since I'm over leveled, it can probably go a little bit faster. All right, so thank you for watching. I appreciate it. We went back to the SOAR of Twitter, and if you like this, let me know if you want it to happen again or do it again. But this was my attempt to change the pace, you know, because instead of me just speaking, you can actually see what's going on and then give your view based off of what is presented to you. You saw the actual message, and now you can determine if it's right or not. What's your plan for the evening? I might do another stream with one of the games, probably. We'll find out. But thank you for participating, Mark. Envoy, the other 3 people that won't say anything. I appreciate it. Oh, and Load as well. I forgot about him for momentarily.